y'all, it's Amanda and this is my Texas Zone 8 garden, and today we are going to be talking about heirloom chrysanthemums, and I'm going to be showing you some of the brand new rooted cuttings that I got from Clara Joyce. Okay, Clara Joyce Flowers is a place where I ordered online heirloom chrysanthemum cuttings that are rooted. And so basically I'm going to be adding new varieties of heirloom chrysanthemums to my garden, which I'm crazy excited about. I wanted to clarify that real quick. But today we're going to be talking about heirloom chrysanthemums. I discovered heirloom chrysanthemums out of frustration. Basically a few years ago, I had, gone through maybe $200 to $400 worth of dahlia tubers, and I got nothing from them. I had spent all this money, and it was like the third year in a row, and I was just so frustrated that I wasn't getting anything from my dahlia tubers, and it was a struggle, and it was upsetting, and y'all know me. If it's not working out in the garden, I'm not going to do it. So I ended up doing a little research and coming across heirloom chrysanthemums and how they're a really great hardy cut flower. And if you're really looking for these specific heirloom varieties, you can grow some really unique cut flowers in your garden. And they are several of them tend to be focal point flowers like dahlias. So I thought, hey, maybe I'll give this a try. Let's see what happens. So I got in my first order of heirloom chrysanthemums, planted them, waited for the next year, started harvesting them, and now I'm completely obsessed with them. So let's talk about all things heirloom chrysanthemums and why you should have them in your garden. Okay, first of all, what is an heirloom chrysanthemum versus what you see in the store? So what you see in the store, big box stores around fall, or in the grocery store, like in their bundles of their flower bouquets, those are all hybrid chrysanthemums. So a little bit different, grown for very specific reasons to be super, super hardy and such. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about heirloom varieties that have been around hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. And these tend to be very specific with really unique qualities. They have super long lasting blooms that aren't very common. So you can't find them in a lot of different places. These heirloom chrysanthemums are used in like the flower show community. So, there's like a whole world of people who show flowers and it's competitions and everything. These heirloom chrysanthemums are utilized in that. And they are the biggest, showiest varieties of mums. So you're not looking at just those little tiny button mums that there's like 1,000 of them on one plant. We're looking at like some big, nice, hardy, gorgeous mums, very fluffy, all different types of varieties to look at, anywhere from tiny itty bitty to sprays to incurve to spoon to all different types of varieties of heirloom chrysanthemums. Now, the other thing about heirloom chrysanthemums is they can legally be propagated. The hybrid ones that you see at the store, or that you see at like your big box stores in the fall, or that you see at like the grocery store bouquets, those are technically hybrid mums and they're not legally supposed to be propagated. But the heirloom mums have been around so long that all of their like patents or copyrights or whatever, all that stuff has expired. And so you can propagate those mums. Okay, so let's talk chrysanthemums. They tend to bloom late summer to fall when most of the blooms have fizzled out. Mine definitely bloomed into mid to late fall. They were blooming right up until we had our first freeze, and they were glorious. It was really fun because a lot of stuff had already gone to sleep for the winter in my garden. So it was really fun to have them at that time of the year. When you're getting new mums or new chrysanthemums to put in your garden, you want to wait until after your last frost to plant them so that they are nice and safe. They are susceptible to frost and freezes, and they will die back to the ground in colder climates. Chrysanthemums do not like wet feet, but they do need consistent moisture. So I'll actually show you, we'll go out in the back in a little bit. I'm going to show you my heirloom chrysanthemum gardens. I'll show you an area where some of my chrysanthemums are getting too wet. They're getting too much moisture. I don't think I dug out enough of the clay and put enough variety of soil in there, and so they're suffering in that area. So I'll show you that. They definitely need consistent moisture. Like I would not call them drought tolerant plants. They definitely need moisture throughout, but they just don't want want to sit in water. So in my particular area where I have a lot of clay, it's really important for me to dig out a lot of that clay and to refresh it with something else that's easier for the plant to go through and that drains better than my clay. They do enjoy full sun, so minimum 8 hours, and I do suggest that they have a little bit of afternoon shade, and I'll show you how that looks in my garden in the backyard where I've got them tucked in so that in the worst parts of my summer that they are shaded. Now with heirloom chrysanthemums, you can propagate them for your own use. I have not propagated chrysanthemums before. Right now, I'm just really trying to support the heirloom chrysanthemum like world right now and all these farmers who are taking it upon themselves to propagate and sell these. And that's where I'm at. And they're just not crazy expensive, so I don't feel like super bad about buying them, and I feel good because I'm giving to these farmers. So I do not currently propagate chrysanthemums myself, but that doesn't mean that you can't. I get a lot of questions about chrysanthemums regarding pinching. When do I pinch? I typically allow my chrysanthemums to bloom in the spring. It typically ends up being late spring into early summer. I get a flush of blooms, which is very exciting. And after I get that flush of blooms, I typically give my chrysanthemum plants a really hard pruning or pinch back no later than July 4th. And I use that as a reference because after July 4th, I just want to allow the plants to do their own thing so that I do have blooms for the fall. I also feel that this last year with my heirloom chrysanthemums, I did July 4th, and they really bloomed towards the end of the fall. So maybe I'll wait a little, or I'll pinch a little earlier, give them a little bit more time, and maybe I can get my flush of blooms a little bit earlier in the fall. Okay, so mums are triggered to set blooms when the days begin to shorten. So it's not for their cycles, it's all about the length of the days, the amount of sunlight that is available during the day. That's literally what it's about. And so typically I can get 2 flushes regarding that. If you are weary of that, you can start cutting back your blooms, pinching back your blooms in the spring, and just pinch back all through the spring and summer, and then, midsummer stop and allow the blooms to set so that you can have beautiful blooms in the fall. Now they are extremely heavy feeders and they do prefer mild fertilizers. They may need staking or support, and I'll show you some of the support that I have in my heirloom chrysanthemum garden in the backyard. Now you want to wait for the bloom to open on the plant and then cut it, because typically once you cut a chrysanthemum and you bring it inside for a vase or whatever, it's not going to open much more than what it was on the plant. So definitely get it to a really good opening point before you cut it on the plant. And in my zone, all I did for the winter was mulch for the winter, and I left on all the old growth to kind of help insulate the plant a little bit. We had one really rough spell that I did go through, and I covered them when it got super, super cold. And then I had a lot of y'all tell me that that wasn't really necessary. So that's good to know for the future. Okay, so I have my order from Clara Joyce Flowers, and I'll put the link to their website below if you're interested in ordering. They still have lots of varieties available. And I follow Clara Joyce on all their social media outlets because I really enjoy them. They're really fun. I ordered 5 different varieties of chrysanthemum cuttings, and one is not currently available and won't be here for a couple of weeks. So they sent me four of the 5 at this point. And you get 4, like for one variety, here's one variety in here. You get 4 cuttings of this variety for $20. So technically $5 a plant, which sounds like a lot, but they're actually really well priced compared to some other growers that are available. Now there are a lot of growers available. I've ordered heirloom chrysanthemums from Bluestone Perennials. I've ordered from King's Mums, ordered from a lot of different places. So let's go ahead and open a set so we can kind of see. So these are my little cuttings in here, and they're supposed to be rooted cuttings. These feel uber dry. So let's see if I can poke some of these out, and let's see how rooted in they are. Yes, they are very well rooted in. Now, theoretically, I could just take these and stick these out into my landscape. I'm not going to. These are tiny, itty bitty little plants. I don't want to take these, stick these out in my landscape and for them to get eaten up by something right away, especially when I've paid $5 per cutting. So I'm actually going to take y'all inside in a few minutes and we're going to go ahead and pot all of these varieties up. Let's go ahead and talk about each of the individual varieties. Okay, the first variety is called Alexis, and that is the one that's going to be here in a couple of weeks. They're just not ready yet. It is a light pink lavender blooms. It blooms mid to late October. It has 4 to 6 inch blooms, and it's about 1 to 2.5 feet tall. It's a shorter variety. The next one that I just opened, this one was Cranberry Wine. It's a fun, dainty spray style bloom, early to bloom, unknown size and height. I could not find the information I needed. That's one of the things that I don't love about Clara Joyce Flowers websites. There's just not a lot of information about the overall size of the plant, the size of the blooms, anything like that. So I do have to bounce around the internet to see if I can find the information. I could not find the information on Cranberry Wine, which makes me think that perhaps that variety is just specific to Clara Joyce Flowers. All right, this next one, let's open it up and see. It's super cute. These cute little cuttings, aren't they so sweet? Okay, this variety is called Gertrude, and it is a unique large lavender focal point bloom topped with cute fringe on the petal tips. It's about 4 to 6 inch wide blooms, and the plant is about 2.5 to 4 feet tall. And a lot of these are, mums are perennial. I feel like zone 6 through 9 to 10. Tends to be. So for the other zones, if you're colder, you can grow it as an annual, or you can grow it throughout the year and then you can dig it up and put it in your greenhouse and overwinter it, which is a really good way to grow them as well. The next variety is Frosty Mum. Okay, and this is in really rough shape, so I might need to email them. I'll get them planted and see how it goes, but this is, I mean, technically it's rooted in. I think that this, when it went through its shipping process, I think this box got kind of tossed around a little bit. That's kind of how it feels. Everything's really dry, which makes sense because they're very small cuttings. But once we get them into all the pots, they should do a lot better. So Frosty Morn. It's a fun purple and white bicolor bloom, small blooms, 1 to 4 inches, and it's kind of a spray style, so a bunch of blooms at the end of each stem. These look a little bit better. This last variety is called Jack Straw, and it is a clear yellow gold bloom with fringe, 4 to 6 inch wide blooms, and about 2.5 to 4 feet tall. So now that I've seen these cuttings are a little bit smaller than typically what I would get from a place like King's Mums. Last year, King's Mums came and they were about maybe 6 inches tall, the cuttings were. So a little bit different. They were cheaper from King's Mum because I bought at the end of the season, which I don't actually think is the best time to buy. It was so hot. So that was really, really hard. That's why with Clara Joyce, I was excited that I could get them in April. So that works really, really well for me. This is my first time ordering from Clara Joyce, so I'm really excited to see how these cuttings do. So let's go in and let's get these planted. Okay, so let's talk about how to pot these up once you get them. You can certainly go straight outside. Y'all know that I'm a control freak and that's not gonna happen. I'm going to pot them up. I'm going to keep them inside under my grow lights. My grow lights are on about 16 hours a day. This will allow me to control all the environmental elements of these cuttings and allow them to fill out and get a little bit bigger before I move them outside. I definitely want to get them planted before June 1st in my area when it starts to get super, super hot, and that allows them some time to get established, but before all the hot weather gets here. But putting them for a couple of weeks in some of these containers, I think it's going to be better for them in the long run. So let's get started on that. First things first, I'm going to take the seedlings out in their little containers right here. And I'm going to go ahead and just put them into some water and allow them to soak up. water, because these are really, really dry. And I don't want to, I've just got it in here with a little bit of water. I don't want to manhandle them when they're that dry, because that means their roots are going to be more fragile. The entire thing is going to be more fragile. So I'm just going to give it some time to go ahead and soak up water while I mix up my soil. Now, just a reminder, chrysanthemums are heavy feeders, all right? So I'm not going to start with just my soil here. All right, I'm going to have my favorite Burger BM potting soil. In addition, I've got my Vital Earth compost back over here, and it's really heavy because it's moist, so I'm not going to lift it up, kill my back. So what I'm going to do is add soil compost here. Go. So I've got my compost. I'm going to make sure I break up the bigger clumps. And then finally, I'm going to add in some of my plant tone. Let's see if I got a pair of scissors. Some of my plant tone slow release fertilizer. So a little bit different than how I start some other seedlings or things like that. So we're going to put lots of nutrients into this soil mixture. In addition, I am also going to water this with a liquid fertilizer, probably my Alaskan fish fertilizer, while these are inside. I expect that these will be inside till the first week of May, and then I'll start bringing them outside and hardening them off, and then probably get them planted by the third week in May. I'm going to be using the quart size containers, and I'm not filling the soil all the way up to the top. So put some of this in. Now I have 4 varieties of each one. I'm going to keep 2 of each one for myself, and the other 2 are going to go live at Kristen's house. For those of you who don't know who Kristen is, she's my good friend, who's also my gardening friend. So we share a lot of seeds and tips and products, and we go shopping together for plants. And she's really, really busy. It's event season, so she's a florist, and she's a high-end florist that does a lot of stuff. So she's super busy. I used to work for her years ago until I got serious about my YouTube stuff. So, all right, I'm going to pull out this first one and go ahead and put in another one. I'm going to go ahead and pull out Jack Straw and allow that to soak while I'm potting up cranberry wine. Okay, so I've got my sweet little cuttings, so I'm going to gently coax them out. And because they're wet, moist, it's going to be way better. And then I'm just going to tuck them right in, just like that. Make a little hole and gently tuck in my cuttings. Okay, so I've got them all potted up, and I'm going to go ahead, I've got them in their water reservoirs. I'm going to go ahead and fill these up about 50% of the way, or at least on the full one, 50% of the way. And then much less on this other one. And then I'm going to get these under the grow lights and give them, 2 to 3 weeks being inside, getting some extra time to put on some additional root growth. I'm also going to hit them up with some liquid fertilizer and really try to beef up those roots before I put them outside. So let's hope that works. Okay, I'm excited. Let's go outside and let me show you around my current heirloom chrysanthemum garden. Okay, right in here is my current heirloom chrysanthemum garden. Now, this will be technically their second full season. They got planted in, gosh, is it fall of 2022? Yes, fall of 2022. And I'm pulling out massive weeds. That's what we're talking. They got planted in fall of 2022. This spring, they did not give me much because they were so small. And then come this last fall of 2023, they did really, really well. I do have some Christmas lights in here from when we had some really intense freezes. And I was using the incandescent lights to keep things alive. So let me pull these up real quick. And I definitely waited too long to put these Christmas lights up because now all of the mums are growing through it. Okay, so let's talk chrysanthemums over here. So this particular bed I started several years ago. It was actually the first bed that I started in the backyard. And it's been many different things, including having amaranthus and celosia in it. So this bed actually has, because of the amaranthus and the celosia spreading themselves like crazy, they self-sow like crazy, self-seed. I went ahead and put down weed barrier in this area before I planted out my chrysanthemums. That's not required. That's just something I had to do for this particular bed. Also, each of these chrysanthemums has a drip line run to it. So it has drip to the base of the plant, which really I think helps with the growth. You can see all of these back here are larger, and I have this guy and this guy, which are the only two that I've never set up drip to. I just forgot, truthfully. And look how tiny they are compared to all the rest. So pretty extensive difference. I also have some of these peony rings in the different areas towards the back. All my chrysanthemums are taller to the back, medium in the front, and shorter, medium in the middle and shorter in the front. So you can already see that these chrysanthemums going through these peony hoops is going to help keep them more upright, which is awesome. And I just leave these peony hoops in year round, which works really well. One thing I want to go ahead and do before we leave this section is go ahead and fertilize this area. And to fertilize these, I'm literally just going to use plant tone. And I'm literally just going to be, since I can't reach the bottom of these now, I'm just going to be going over the top of them. We do have extensive rain coming starting tomorrow. So that'll help starting to water a bunch of these in. Okay, and then since I go over the top like that, the best thing you can do is you can come in and just give it a little shake to knock the fertilizer off the leaves. She loves the smell of the fertilizer. Buffy, hey, come on. Come on. Okay, so over here you can see lots of buds coming up for its spring flush. Should be very cool. This one's not far off right there. This variety over here, it's French vanilla. And it was my earliest bloomer in the fall too. So it's good to know that it's consistently the earliest bloomer. Lots and lots of buds already, very exciting. Okay, but I do have some in pots over there, which they have not done great in pots, so they're going to be getting transplanted into the garden. And I have this guy over here, and I think that he is getting too much water, which is part of the issue right here. This variety is called, oh yeah, he's really wet over here. Cocoa Bun Me, which is a really pretty one. So I'm just going to keep an eye on it. I'm going to turn its sprinklers down a little bit, or its drip lines down, so it's not as intense. Got another one right there. I would like to put an additional few right here, and then I'm going to be tucking a bunch into the side and front landscape as time goes on. But yeah, looking good. I think that one's getting too much water. This is a lot of clay right here, so I think that's what he's battling. Just a quick peek at all these seedlings over here. That's all I started from seed. Lots of basil. This is blue lace flower right there. Eucalyptus. Doing all right. We've got dianthus across the front. It's looking good. Okay, look how happy the amaryllis are. They've grown so much since the other day. Since I brought them outside and I've fed them and I've watered them, they're so happy. I'm really happy that I did that. Also, can we just like, I need to deal with this. I need to deal with my mess. I dread it. I hate cleaning up, y'all. Just don't like it at all. Okay, so this garden, we face south. This is west over here. So it gets lots of morning sun, and then because it's west over here, the house casts some lighter shade this direction. Not at the very edge of the garden where the rose is, that gets full sun all day, but this area back here gets a little bit more, so it gets a little bit of shaded afternoon sun, which works really good in my opinion. But really happy with the direction that this chrysanthemum bed is going. It is going to just be even more beautiful each year, which I'm really, really excited about. Very excited to have a spring flush. I think that that's going to be awesome because I was not expecting something like that. So to have that this year is going to be really fun too. But I'm going to continue to fill this in. I've got some holes I can do in a few places. A couple of the varieties, like this one is called Pink Crest. It's too short for cut flowers, so most likely in the fall I'm going to dig this guy up. Potentially, I don't know if I'm going to divide it yet. Let me see the bottom. Oh, I might be able to divide it. Potentially divide this guy and put him somewhere else in the regular landscape, but not in the cut flower portion of the garden because it's just too short. And then of course I do need to go ahead and run drip lines to the base of these two plants to really get them going. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video on heirloom chrysanthemums. I am kind of obsessed with them. I'm just learning. I found them pretty easy to work with. I think that they're cost effective compared to dahlia tubers. You know, when you're paying $15, $20 a tuber. I think they're pretty cost effective regarding that. You do have to wait on them a little bit, right? Because if you buy the cuttings, I mean, it's going to be a few years. I bought the full-size plant from Bluestone Perennials, but you're paying anywhere from 3 to 4 times the amount that you would pay for a cutting. So that's up to you all. I will go ahead in the video description, list some different places that you can buy heirloom chrysanthemum plants or cuttings, so you can check them out. I have not purchased from all of them. I've only purchased from Bluestone Perennials, King's Moms, and now Clara Joyce Flowers. So just to give you reference regarding that. All right, you all, as always, make sure you like, a comment, and subscribe to the channel. Let me know your thoughts on heirloom chrysanthemums. Are you interested in growing them? Do you currently grow them? What are your thoughts regarding them? And be sure to check me out on my social media outlets, including Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. As always, she's a mad gardener or a decorator or anything else that she wants to be. Thanks, y'all.